everyone, welcome back to the More Than Muscle podcast, where we break down fitness, mindset and everything in between. I'm Andy Polides.
And I'm Natalie Polides. Today we are getting into a spicy topic: fads, diet trends and quick fixes, and also a new wave of weight loss drugs as well, like GLP-1s.
Yeah, you know what? I actually just want to plug the title of this. I love it. Why fads aren't enough, strength over shortcuts. But basically, these fads are everywhere right now. But here's the truth. Without strength training and lifestyle change, none of this tends to stick. And we've seen this years and years and years. We've seen it.
Yeah, so we're breaking down why building muscle is the real long-term game and why shortcuts might get you started but won't actually carry you through.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if people actually know what a fad or a fix is because they tend to follow them all the time. But I just want to break that down because it needs to be clear. It's temporary, often gimmicky, trends in exercise and dieting. You see it all the time. The fitness industry is full of it, and often, you know, the fitness industry is just trying to make a bit of money out of you guys to give you quick results that are not sustainable approaches, and we end up having to pick up the pieces when you crash and hit the wall. So, yeah, one of the first things I want to open up, Nat, and I'm sure particularly a lot with the type of people you've worked with over the last 15 years, juice cleanses and detox teas. I swear every time I hear this, I'm just like, I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, go for it.
I think it's the word detox. As soon as you put the word, like, there's some buzzwords, and detox seems to be one of them. As soon as you put that in front of something, people automatically think that it's going to be like anti-bloating and it's going to, I don't know, like burn through your insides, like all the bad stuff. But actually, like, your liver and kidneys are there to, I guess, detox your body. That is what they do. So buying these teas and these coffees as well, I've seen like a shroom coffee. I don't know what that's for.
I don't know, but you might get a nice trip out of that or something. I don't know.
So buying the teas, typically what the teas actually have in them, they're like a green tea, and they've actually got some laxative in them as well. So you actually go to the toilet, which obviously makes you feel lighter, but that gives the effect of the detox. But it's
and I guess
it's marketing. It's like £20
wow
a set of 6 tea bags.
You know what? I don't even know because I don't even look at these things. But when you say prices like that, I'm like, wow. I mean, I'm guessing some of these will have caffeine in them, so they're going to be a diuretic, which means you're going to pass a lot more water, which often makes your scale weight look better. So people get gassed off that. I think the other thing is, you have a liver. There's a reason why you have a liver. That is the thing that does detoxify things for you. If you didn't have that, you'd have a problem. If you don't believe me, ask an alcoholic who's ruined their liver. You'll see what happens. But the biggest problem I have with this juice stuff is that, like, the juice is seen as clean, like it's a juice cleanse. So, if I'm having this juice drink, I'm really clean now. So what are you trying to say when you eat real food, that it's dirty? And that, like, kind of paradigm of, like, eating food is bad for you, that's where it doesn't sit well for me.
No, it's just it's how it makes you feel. I think we move on to talking about so the next one is like low carbohydrates and things. I think when you do cut out carbohydrates, you may feel like you're bloated less or you feel like lighter, but it's because carbohydrates, that is what they do. They hydrate the cells.
It says it in the word.
Yeah, it's not like, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing to feel full. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing that your tummy isn't like iron board flat. Like, these aren't bad things.
Yeah, one of the things that, like, so that's brought up the next one, low carb, no carb. You hear this all the time. No carbs before marbs. I'm going to go on a low carb diet and that's going to make me lose extreme weight. Let me let you into a little secret. If I'm a personal trainer and I'm telling you you're going to lose 5 kilos, then one of the easiest ways I can do that quickly is by telling you to cut all your carbohydrates down. And in the short term, you're likely going to lose some weight. And the reason for that is, One, as Nat said, you cut a whole food group out, which probably means you eat less. And we know the law of thermodynamics means you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. But the bigger reason is, as Nat also said, it's carbohydrate. It hydrates you. So for every gram of carbohydrate you ingest, you attract 3 grams of water to the cell. So if you think about that logically, that's an extra 4 grams. If you're having 100, 200, 300 grams of carbs across your day, you're likely to put a few kilos on, or half a kilo on, whatever it is. You can do the maths yourself. So if we strip that away, we can get you to stand on the scales and your weight comes down, but that doesn't necessarily mean you've lost any body fat. It just means we've kind of dehydrated you a little bit. And for me, it kind of really makes carbohydrates look terrible in the diet. And my biggest problem with this, and this is the biggest fight I have with clients, is where the hell do you get your fibre from? And we know that fibre is such an integral part of your digestion, and that was talking about bloating and all of these things. Yeah, you're supposed to bloat, but you're also supposed to drink some water with your carbohydrates and your food so that you can pass and you can digest. But the other thing is, we know that fibre helps us break down things like cholesterol. So when you think of like your artery health and your heart health, the short-term effects of having low carb, okay, you can lose a bit of weight. It's not fat, it's weight. But the long-term effects are, where are you breaking down things like cholesterol and stuff like that, digestive health issues that go along with your all-round health? And for me, that's why this fad is rubbish.
Yeah, I don't like anything that cuts out whole food groups, whether it's cutting out meat as well, or... Yeah. I just think it's unhealthy to follow physically, but also mentally. Yeah,
I mean, my grandparents would probably tell me this, and you this. Meat and two potatoes, meat and two veg. Meat and two veg is a saying that goes way back, especially in the UK. And I think what that signifies is you need some balance on your plate. It's not a fad. That's lasted the duration of time. Not to mention, just to say this, that it's your primary energy source. And so if you're training pretty hard, it's the easiest way to hydrate your cells, hydrate your muscles. It's the best way to build muscle alongside your protein. So yeah, I'm not saying that you cannot go low carb. There is specialist populations out there, for example, diabetics, people with metabolic syndromes. So there are, but when you're literally doing it because the only thing you care about is losing weight, you're looking at it through a straw. All right, what about things like 800 calorie crashes, which to me, when I see 800 calories, I'm like, wow, I eat that in one sitting.
I was going to say.
I eat that for breakfast.
No, again, no one would ever be able to stick to that for very long without crashing.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying that you're going to do this and you're going to die. We've seen people use these fads all the time and seen success with weight loss. I think it's just really understanding that these things, if you are going to follow them, they have to be for a very short window of time. They're aggressive, you get a quick fix, but if you don't know what you're doing, the bounce back from these things is incredible. I think the statistic is you put on what you had plus 8% and then you go, oh my God.
Yeah, but the issue then is that people will always go back to the thing that lost them the weight. They won't look at that. They'll think that they're the failure for not sticking to it, when actually it's the diet or the fad that's failed you. It's not. Yo-yo. It's not you that's the failure because you couldn't stick to it. It's just that's too hard. Yeah, 800 calories and it's too hard. It
creates a yo-yo mentality. This one for me hurts the most. The celebrity plans. I did a post the other day. Influencer now. I did a post the other day on my Instagram, and it was showcasing Tyson Fury talking about his diet that he led up to pre-fight. He was following a keto diet, but more importantly, not so much that it was the keto diet. He said he did a dirty version of the keto diet, meaning he was eating his fatty meats, his deep fried stuff, blah, 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 blah. And he said, well, I still lost weight. Well, we know he's lost weight because he's followed a calorie deficit. So that's the overarching thing there. But the other thing is he was training like an absolute tank in an athletic scenario, prepping for a fight, which the majority of us are not going to be doing. But I guess the problem I have, and the post that I made, was not about the diet as such. It was about the fact that, well, if it worked for him and he has such power of influence, that I could do that too. And my problem with the celebrity plans is I don't care whether they're scientifically backed or they work or not. It's just the influence that carries behind them and who's watching and who's following. Because we see this on a social media thing with younger people as well, who might not have, all the knowledge to be critical enough to look at things, and they're just going to follow people that they like on Instagram.
Yeah, I think when somebody looks like X and they're endorsing something, then you think that if you do the thing that they're endorsing, that you will also look like them. Like, it's just how the mind works. If those two things are linked, you think, that must equal that. And that's kind of how advertising works. But realistically, if you did eat exactly the same as what your favorite influencer is doing, and also train exactly the same as them, you still wouldn't look like them. Like, everyone is different. Our makeup is different. Our genetics, our lifestyle, it doesn't really match. However, in our heads, when we look at something, that's what we naturally see.
Yeah, the power of influence. That's my biggest problem there. I don't really want to go into, like all the different plans. My problem with it is the power of influence that they carry, and to the uneducated eye, what impact they could have, especially now that we've got these unfiltered channels where anyone has a say in what they do. And if you have a big, powerful following, then you're almost driving what you're preaching to maybe the wrong people. The next one, it's not really a fad, I don't want to say, but it's definitely current right now. But things like your GLP-1 drugs, so we're talking about Ozempic, Monjaro, these kind of drugs that are now on the market. They're not readily available to everyone just as yet, but originally they were for diabetics, and now people who are going to the NHS to help with weight loss are using these weight loss drugs to help reduce the need for their food intake. So yeah, what's your thoughts on these, Nat?
Well, they mimic the natural hormones that regulate appetite, which eventually leads to you not needing to consume as much food, which then elicits weight loss. I'm not against them. I think that if they're in the right hands, I think it can be an excellent tool that somebody could use in order to kind of give them a bit of a kickstart. If somebody is quite severely overweight, I think it's for people with a BMI over 30. If they need a bit of a head start in weight loss that can make them feel good, that makes them feel lighter, that then makes them feel better to exercise, then I'm all for that. It's when these drugs get into the wrong hands, people who don't actually have a really high BMI, people who don't actually really need to lose weight, people who maybe just need a slight shift in their lifestyle choices, that is, I think, the danger.
Yeah, I think you're correct. We've seen people who are significantly overweight who, when we go back to our previous episode talking about barriers to participation, one of them is, I'm just so big that it hurts to move. And so when we think about a drug that could potentially accelerate weight loss in a way in which it can help them control their eating, if they can lose that little bit of weight that's needed so that they can now start moving to accelerate the next phase of weight loss, and now they're not in pain to move, I think that can be very, very positive. I think the problem lies when people like ourselves are going on a holiday and like, hey, we want to get a few more lines on our body and we can get it on the black market somewhere, and we're injecting ourselves to lose that little bit extra without understanding the long-term effects of what that does. There's a problem, and I think research is starting to show there's lots of pancreatic problems, and this is why I think your GP should be looking at who can and who can't. My issue with it currently is you can get it over the black market, but also when it becomes readily available at pharmacies, which it hasn't yet, like your Boots and places like this, are their assessments going to be deep enough to actually make the right decision on who they give them to, or is anyone going to be able to try and get them? And then my last thing is, you mentioned about BMI. The problem is my BMI is obese. So I'm definitely not obese. I'm a trained individual. I'm not part of the general population. I'm a trained individual which holds an element of muscle mass. And so does that mean that I can get hold of them? And how does that affect?
Yeah, I think if you're going to a regulated website, I know this because I've looked at it with clients as well. They do ask you quite a significant amount of questions.
Yeah.
It's not just going through your BMI, and I know also with the NHS as well, there's loads of kind of hoops that you have to jump through. So yeah, I think if you're going through a legitimate company, I think it is harder to get them. But
Yeah, I mean, the only other problem I have with it is not the drug as such, it's the program. And so I would love to see the NHS, for example, have a parallel program whereby we're teaching these individuals the benefits of strength training, why they should be resistance training, what's happening with regards to their eating. They're not just not eating because they don't feel hungry, but what's going on there. Because my problem is, what happens when you reach and you're no longer on those? Are you going to fall back into habits because no one's educated you? And then, as you can imagine, it will be like, right, now you're there, now we'll help you, we'll react, and we'll go, right, you need a personal trainer, or you need to go to your latest nutritionist or whatever. And then those people just slip into fads because they haven't been helped. So you get this loop where they put the weight back on and then they go back on GLP-1s. And so that's what I'd like to see promoted more, and then I think I would be more comfortable with them as a program, and I think that would be way safer if that was the case.
yeah.
Cool. Just to wrap up this section, Nat, do you want to speak about some of the biggest problems health-wise that you would see if people are just focusing on one fad to the next fad to the next fad? Because there's hundreds of them. You could just circle all of them if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think most of the fads are, I guess, centered around weight loss or rapid weight loss. I don't think that they are sustainable. They're never for a lengthened period of time. And they're also something to talk about as well is muscle loss. So if you do drop weight quite quickly, muscle loss is something that tends to happen with that. If you're not strength training or if you're not going to the gym alongside with when you're doing your weight loss to help sustain your muscle mass, then that's something that does tend to happen, is muscle loss, which we do not want to do. And yeah, I think just trying to hold on to that as much as possible is good. And then muscle is also responsible for your metabolic rate, so it can slow down your metabolism as well. So
Yeah.
it can leave you in a worse position, basically.
I think the biggest problem is down to the duration. Everyone has different motivation levels. Everyone has different resilience levels. And so, like, some people can be in pain and carry on. They're like, I'm going to keep doing this. It's working. I'm going to keep going. And what you end up doing by having that is you keep driving some of the problems that it creates. I don't think they're sustainable, but hey, weight loss in general isn't sustainable. You shouldn't be losing weight for the rest of your life. So if you're going to do things, they should be done in very small windows. My problem is the education with that is when people find like something that's working, it's going to be the thing they want to do for a long time. And as Nat said, it ends up being phasic. You yo-yo through it because you can't simply do it forever, but you go back to it. And so education is the biggest problem for me. Once you start educating yourself and you understand what it can do, as Nat says, you lose muscle, metabolic slowdown, you feel generally crap. We've not spoken about how this can affect for females the menstrual cycle and things like this. There's so many metabolic and physiological problems that you can create if you do these things for a long period of time. But the be all and end all is, it's not just about muscle building. For me, going to the gym and strength training is so important because then your food becomes part of fueling that. And we know the one thing we lack as we get older is strength. And we also know if you lose strength, your inability to move or your ability to move becomes worse. And so you create this cycle of I put weight on because I can't do anything. So for me, strength training should be taught in schools. People should be doing it from young and it should be second nature. And I feel like that would fix a lot of people's eating problems. And for me, that is what is not a fad. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Time for a game. Boom. And this game is called Fad or Fact. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read you out a statement. and you're going to tell the audience whether it's a fad or a fact, and you can explain why. Cool?
Okay.
The first one. You can detox your body with celery juice.
Fad.
Why?
Because you...
But it's green.
We were just talking about detoxing, and that your liver and your kidneys can do that for you. So, yeah, you can try with the celery juice, but it's not going to work.
I think the problem is when people decide to do these detoxes, regardless of what they are, they often do them after a period of time where they've been a bit naughty. Example being Christmas. They've eaten 2 kilos of cheese, chocolate, turkey, wine, whatever. They're feeling really like, indigestion, heavy, blah, blah, blah. Then they go into the extreme of just having juice, and they go, oh my God, the juice has made me feel so good. And it's like, when you actually look at it, you've gone from eating 5,000 calories a day to 1 calorie a day. And in the short term, you've lost some weight, you've lost some water, some sodium has been excreted, and you're like, I feel so much better about myself. And then you start getting hungry, and then that's when the problem happens. GLP-1s, so the Ozempics and the Monjaros, build muscle. They can aid in weight loss, but they can also lead to muscle loss if not managed properly. To mitigate this, it's crucial to incorporate strategies like strength training and higher protein diets.
Fact.
Okay. Skipping carbs will generate fat loss. Low carbs can lead to weight loss, but it's not guaranteed and often involves initial water weight loss rather than solely fat loss.
Fact.
Strength training is only for aesthetics. Misconception, it offers numerous health benefits beyond aesthetics, including improved bone density, heart health and metabolic function, as well as reduced risk of chronic disease and improved mental well-being.
You're reading the answer.
Oh, sorry. Is that what I've been doing?
Yeah.
So is it a fad or fact?
Strength training is only for aesthetics. Fad.
Okay. Well, you get the picture anyway. It's just a game, guys. If I'm losing weight, it means I'm getting healthier.
Fad.
Cool. All right. That game was a myth.
That game was a fad.
Cool. So maybe you could pause me and then answer it yourself and then open it again when you're listening back. All right. Next section. The power of strength training. It's something I want to talk about. As you can tell, when I talk about strength training, it's something I know really well. Why do you think it's the foundation for everything? Last episode, or the episode before that, I mentioned it's the mother of all qualities when everything else is equal. But why do we say these things?
Well, you love that one.
Yeah, I do love that one.
To say that one. Strength training, I just think it offers so much. For me, like, mentally, it feels really good to do. It's like something positive for your body to achieve. There's so many directions in which you can go with it, and getting stronger it's just always a nice feeling, especially as a woman as well, to get stronger. And you just always hope for that time that somebody says, oh, don't worry about lifting that, I can do that. And you're like, no, don't worry, I've got it. Like, that's the best feeling ever.
Yeah. For me, I said this in previous episodes, the biggest thing that strength training provides you is a process that you have to go down. You can't just turn up, lift, and then go, I'm going to pick this bar that I've never lifted up before, that's out of your depth, and you just pick it up. So you would have had to have gone through a journey to get to it. And I think that teaches you the best lessons. It's a great metaphor for life. Again, I've spoken about that in previous episodes, so I'm not going to go down that. But there's physiological benefits. You build muscle, you get stronger. For me, it's the best anti-aging. We watch television every day, and all you've got is these things where people are having all these different cosmetic surgeries and all of these creams and whatever they're having for anti-aging. I think strength training is the best anti-aging pill you'll ever take. And we've seen that in the real with our older population when we look at things like osteoporosis. We've seen people's bone density get better.
Posture as well is a massive thing when it comes to aging as well.
And we've also seen the benefits of our younger, like our proper younger children that we've trained that are now become adolescents versus we've seen children who've never trained before, and the benefits there with regards to their weight, but also their skill level, their movement quality, but more importantly their behavior level, and like learning to listen, taking instructions, understand hand-eye coordination, when to go hard, when to peel back. And I just think it teaches so many lessons that are the foundation for everything you do in life.
Yeah, I think a big one as well, like a lot of people speak about metabolism and that people always want to speed up their metabolism. But I think the best way to do that is you kind of build a big engine for yourself, like your muscles, your strength, and that will help speed up your metabolism. That brings you a higher metabolism.
Yeah, I think we've seen this time and time again. People that have followed weight loss, specific nutrition, which we help a lot of people do stuff like that. The ones that have done that alongside weight training have maintained that weight loss. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it fluctuates up and down. People go on holiday, enjoying themselves. But you don't see this like exponential, like they've put 10, 15, 20 kilos on. So I think it reduces that risk. And it allows you to maintain lean mass, which, as Nat says, is such a big predictor for things like metabolic rate, for strength, etc., especially when you're peeling calories away to lose weight. If you had two people, person A and person B, and they were both dieting, well, the one that is strength training will keep the lean tissue, whereas the one that isn't is likely going to sacrifice some of that. And we know, again, as we age, that is such an important factor. We don't want to be losing any of that. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, aesthetically, I'm sure people prefer having more muscle mass on them than having none at all, especially from like the way clothes fit, the way things are cut, they fit better and things like this. Mm-hmm. So strength training is so important. And I do think it enhances any medical intervention that is out there. Like one being osteoporosis. We've seen people be on drugs so that it helps with their osteoporosis. Yes, you have osteoblasts and osteoclasts, things that clear the bones and build the bones, and the medication helps with that. But equally, strength training helps support that parallel. And now we're talking about things like GLP-1 drugs. So again, your Ozempics and things like that. We just know that enhances these medical interventions rather than takes away from them. Mm-hmm. Cool. Real life stories. Can you tell me some clients that you've had who, again, you don't have to out them, but scenarios where you've had clients who have followed fads and they've made the flip and now they're strength training, they're following decent nutrition protocols, and you've seen success? Like, what's happened and how sustainable has the coaching been?
Yeah, I think most people, before they actually get to the personal training side or actually getting a coach, is typically they would have tried some sort of fad before, and maybe that's failed, and then they've eventually thought, okay, well, I now need a coach as I can't really do it myself. I think typically those people would expect things to happen really quickly, which is hard to adjust to. I'm always telling people to slow down on their expectations, and you're going to be playing the long game when you start proper coaching and actually dialing into your nutrition and your training. You are playing the long game with it. I can't compete with a box of skinny tea, but it's so that getting past that mentality, but once they do and it starts to stick, like, they are the best outcomes. People that are sticking to coaching and strength training, it's like once they've done it and they've got a taste of it and they know that they're doing well and they're achieving good things, it's hard to then get it out of your life. Like, that bit isn't a fad.
And the thing is, I want to hone in on the GLP-1s as well when we're talking about clients, because it's relatively new, so we don't have tons and tons of people that are on it, but we've had, since people leave, because just like Nat said, we can't compete with detox tea, we probably can't compete with the rate at which the GLP-1s can help with weight loss. And so some people have looked at the cost and gone, you know what, I'm spending a load on that's going to accelerate my weight loss. But we've also had people that have seen past that and gone, I'm going to carry on doing this because it's not just about my weight loss, it's about my strength, it's about my health, it's about the bounce back. We don't want bounce back, and studies are clear. The people that are doing their weight training alongside their GLP-1s are maintaining muscle mass or indefinitely building it if they were quite detrained to begin with. And in my opinion, the long-term investment there is better. You're going to see a better return on your investment. And all I can say is the people that we have that are on it, their weight loss is accelerating, but also they look healthy, happy, strong, functioning. It's like we've got completely new people. And so I think when it's used like that, super positive. But I'm excited to see how the future unfolds, because I do think we're going to start picking up people on the other side of the spectrum. That I feel like we're going to get a lot of people who have used it, got right down to whatever weight they were trying to get to, and it's almost like, help, I'm weak.
Yeah, you can't be on it forever.
So yeah, I think that's what I'm predicting is going to happen.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So sum it up. Quick fixes are not quick fixes. They're just quick indents in what you want. The likelihood is there's a huge bounce back, which is why we think strength training helps sustain that. You should ignore fads. They're mainly money-making machines that are prowling on your, I don't know, like your lack of knowledge or your insecurity around the problem that you have. Just always think about the long-term effects of your health. I think that's something that me and Nat are always promoting. I don't know, Nat, do you want to say something on that?
Yeah, I think fads and these quick fixes seem great because things happen really, really quickly. It seems sexy to join, but the stuff that actually works, it's probably quite boring and takes some of your time and takes more of your time to achieve. But that is the stuff that's way more sustainable in the long run.
Yeah, and I think just to wrap it up before we plug us, there is nothing wrong with you wanting change. That's not what we're saying, but we just want you to understand there's way more to that. The long-term effects of your health, having a stronger you, that is so important because it actually sustains the change that you have, or at least gives you the tool to sustain it if you want to. It's not blind. Mm-hmm. So Nat, plug us because people need to find us.
We are on Instagram, More Than Muscle Ltd. We're also on YouTube and also our website, morethanmuscle.co.uk. If you want to have a little look, we've got loads of stuff on our website, and then you can also, if you feel like taking that step, you can inquire and we can get in touch about booking in a free consultation.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is that. We will see you on the next one. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.